Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Boruto manga review. This one is going to be for Chapter 5, which is called Momoshiki and Kinshiki. And yeah, so once again, it is continuing the adaptation of the Boruto movie. Not a ton to say because we don't really get new content. I think there's one or two new, like, little bits of dialogue kind of reveals, which were interesting, but for the most part, it's just a kind of solid enough adaptation of this section of the story. Um, Art, I think, continues to improve and get much more consistent, and honestly, at this stage, that seems to be most people's opinion on what's going on here. That the reason that they're basically, in many ways, like sacrificing the first, at this stage, it looks like at least 7 chapters of the new Boruto manga to adaptation is to give the artist a less overly stressful kind of situation, get experience like with the schedule, having to get this much art out each month for the chapters, and just become solid enough to become the usual monthly artist for the new stuff. And I think that's working. And so I think once we get around to chapter, 8, 9, whenever the actual new stuff starts, we are going to be there with a kind of very different artist than we had in chapter 1. One who has experience and really knows how to kind of work things, given that they've already done at that stage, like it'll be like in or around like 400 pages of artwork already. I think that's what they're going for here, and it is working. Because the art here I thought was really good. This is the first major fight, a big, like nearly full chapter fight scene, and I thought the way he kind of laid out the fights worked really nicely. Like when someone used a jutsu just entering the fight, you could see where it came from, and just everything seemed quite good. There was detail for the backgrounds as well as the kind of main characters that are in that scene, and the actual, how he showed the jutsu and the action taking place was good. And especially the scenes when Naruto kind of really got into the fight towards the end and, activates, the Nine Tails mode and stuff like that. They were really good. Like the last panel of Naruto, going all out, as it says, is a really nice looking panel. And then even some of the other ones when he first activates it are quite nice. And then there's the kind of really nice facial expressions as like Naruto says that he's going to fend them off and he's asking Sasuke to look after the kids. That's a really nice moment between the characters, but also the artwork for it came across really good as well. The only thing, obviously, at this stage you kind of question is some of the character designs that he has chosen. Hinata, for me, is the one that stands out the most. It's just like, yeah, that doesn't really seem a lot like Hinata to me. Like, when you had such an amazing design already from the movie, why would you change it? And then a couple of other ones, like why did they really need to change Sarada's design? Not really sure, but in general, it is quite good. The actual plot of this, obviously, the most interesting thing is that this is the arrival of 2 new Otsutsuki members, which we obviously know from the Boruto movie, Momoshiki and Kinshiki, but it's really interesting that we are getting this chapter of the Boruto manga now when the anime has just gotten past the kind of Kaguya backstory arc, where we know that she was kind of waiting and kind of protecting the Divine Tree because she knew that 2 other people were going to arrive, clearly referring to these 2. And we finally get that happening. So I like that setup that obviously knowing that that's going to happen, they added that kind of stuff in filler, but important filler, into the anime, and so it makes this kind of feel really meaningful in that they've finally arrived. Their goal is to do what they did before, but because of all the incidents that have happened, the tree doesn't stand anymore. They kind of have to go after Naruto because he kind of contains all of the nine-tailed beasts, which is in essence what the Divine Tree kind of is with regards to like the 10 tails and stuff like that. Gets a little bit confusing, but in general, that's the idea. So overall, this chapter, covering that, the arrival of the real villain, kind of interrupting the Naruto about to scold Boruto for cheating during the exam bit, and then the big fight starting, worked quite nicely. The only issue I kind of had with this chapter is that I actually did expect it to cover a lot more ground, and my biggest kind of complaint coming out of this would just be that, oh, so we're going to have like another month more than I expected. Like, I expected this to end with maybe Naruto being taken away. Like, he steps up, defends everyone, everyone gets away, but Naruto is captured. Like, that's kind of what happens. I expected that's where they'd end it, but them ending it with just him starting to fully get into the battle, I'm like, oh no, there's still that to come. So like probably next end of next chapter will probably be Naruto getting taken as the big cliffhanger. Then we'll start the following chapter with Boruto and Sasuke talking and them wanting to go after him, and we're probably still looking at like one, two, probably three more chapters at least, maybe a fourth, which would bring us up to chapter 8 or 9 potentially. So, you know, still a couple more months. So at this stage, like I can't really see new content coming out until, you know, maybe like last month of the year, maybe early 2017. That's just based on my expectations. Who knows? He could really kind of speed up things for the next couple of chapters, and it could only take like 2 months. There could only be 2 chapters to go. So as for new scenes that we got in this chapter, the most notable one that I think people are talking about is obviously the scene with Shinki, one of the sand Chunin, or Genin, sorry, who's going to become a Chunin. Him and Gaara. He is about to get involved in the fight. Gaara stops him and says, no, you need to learn to kind of better assess the situation. You should know that this enemy is completely out of your league. You go help people evacuate. And he, as Shinki goes off, he says, yes, father, and at least on these current scans, it says, like, translator's note, father as in foster father. Clearly, obviously the translation for this must be some Japanese word that specifically means that. The official translation should be a tomorrow, which might clarify some stuff. Not tomorrow, I mean Monday, actually. The official translation might reveal a little bit more about that, but right now, foster father, so Gaara has adopted this child. I know a lot of people are wondering, like, did Gaara ever get married, have kids of his own? And, you know, is this someone who is just very, very respectful of Gaara? Or is it actually a kind of father-like relationship? Or is this character just someone who has this weird personality where he respects Gaara a lot as the Hokage, as the Kazekage, and just considers him a father figure? That's what it's going to be interesting to see. Is it actually something there, or is it just him being a little bit weird and Gaara never corrects him on it? But, you know, it was a nice enough scene. And the other scene I didn't remember was, I don't really remember much explanation going into the way the two Otsutsuki members power up by kind of using the red earth stuff. I don't remember it ever being called that when I watched the movie, but again, like, the one that I watched, was it a fan translation, was it a official translation? I'm not overly sure. I really don't remember a scene of like just like Sasuke kind of saying, oh, they powered themselves up with this thing called red earth and it's related to chakra in this way, and then Momoshiki saying that, just saying basically the same thing. I remember them using the whole kind of metaphor of, I'm using this, it is effectively a drug, I'm cheating to power up, and it having a big impact because Naruto was basically saying the same thing to Boruto about the ninja tool technology, in that Boruto is only becoming powerful by using this technology as opposed to his own chakra, and in the same way as these Otsutsuki members are kind of doping basically to become more powerful. And it's a nice kind of thematic thing to have where Naruto is able to just show his own true power and match these crazy powerful beings, the Otsutsukis, who have also made themselves more powerful via drugs, basically. And it's highlighting to Boruto that if you train enough, you can, to some extent, become this strong. Obviously, Naruto is this crazy example, and not a lot of people can get to that level, but just the fact that they're in any way close to these Otsutsuki members who are so powerful kind of highlights something to Boruto, and he even tries to step it up during this fight. Creates a shadow clone to protect Sarada, and even though most of the kind of younger characters kind of get blown away, Naruto is able to protect most of them. And it is a big scene as kind of Naruto steps it up. He kind of gradually kind of gets the rust out of his powers. Talks to Kurama saying, I hope you're not rusty, and Naruto is clearly the one who is rusty, and they just kind of get their power going. It's a nice way to end the chapter. It's just, I do wish they'd covered a bit more ground. Anything else in the chapter to talk about? I don't think there's really a whole lot else. It's the first couple of scenes obviously are just him saying that Shikadai is named the winner of the Chunin exams rather than Boruto. You have the end of the plot with the people who invented the ninja tools, them just thinking they're going to get all the publicity because they're going to say, like, oh, look, Boruto won this, even though he's disqualified. The fact that he won using our ninja tools highlights how powerful they are by them now. But they're interrupted by the actual villains arriving. That was a kind of funny moment, just that these kind of creeps who have kind of influenced Boruto to do this, their story just ends like that. I thought that was interesting. But just because so much of it was a fight scene, not a lot of plot stuff happened. But to some extent, I think it's becoming a little bit more enjoyable now to watch this adaptation of the Boruto movie. Now that we're into the action fight scene style stuff, so I'm interested to see, do they add anything more to it. It seems like what they're doing is that it's getting across a little bit more explanation. So when it comes to the final blow and stuff like that, I'm going to be interested to see like how they explain Boruto's kind of special Rasengan. Do they give that more of an explanation? But that's basically my review for this month's Boruto chapter. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on the chapter, on the review, and I'll just end by saying, if you want to follow me on social media, links to my Twitter and Tumblr are in the description below. And if you want to help support my channel so I can make more videos, better videos, links to my Patreon page and also a PayPal donation link are also in the description as well. So yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.